Because we want to go back to this breaking news now, where Iranian media saying that Iranian state radio and television building has been targeted. This is the moment. Just take a watch and a listen. This is the moment that Israeli airstrikes hit the Iranian state radio and television building. This has just been in the last few minutes. In fact, it happened as we were speaking to Tahir Asadi. Let's just take a listen.
آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم.
So this was happening live on Iranian state TV as the Israeli airstrike happened. It was also when we were talking to our reporter Tahir Asadi. Tahir, can you tell us what more you're hearing from your end?
Well, this is a very developing story. Just a few minutes ago as we were live, and first of all, I have to apologize for this connection issues because we've got this internet connection issue from the time the Israeli strikes began. From the last time we spoke, we heard massive sounds of explosion in the capital. This is not something new. We have been hearing massive sounds of explosion over the past 2, 3, 4 days, I might say, across the capital from different parts. And now the news is coming out after the Israeli statement about the possibility of a strike on District 3 of Tehran, the Iranian capital. Now we hear reports about the attack on IRIB's buildings. IRIB is the Iranian state TV, or in Persian they call it Sada Sima, which was attacked by the Israeli strikes. And this is going to be a huge development, seeing that there are a lot of people working there, and now it runs the risk of many civilian casualties. And this is not for the first time that we're talking about civilian casualties as a result of these strikes. From the very beginning of these strikes, when we were at the scene of one of the buildings targeted, we saw that a building belonging to the university professors was targeted, in which Iranian nuclear scientist Dr. Tehran, she was killed alongside with many civilians. And today we had a chance to be at one of the scenes that Israelis targeted indeed, and this was a quiet civilian area with residential buildings, and we had a chance to talk to people. As I told you last time, we see this massive sense of anger among citizens, among very ordinary citizens. They're saying we've got nothing to do with politics, we've got nothing to do with the nuclear program. We are ordinary citizens whose lives are being severely affected. I told you last time, and I'm very impressed. I'm very sad to say again that I saw an arm belonging to a body of a lady that just found from the scene that we were covering. Oh, these are indicative that civilian casualties are there, and it runs the risk of further casualties with this continuation of strikes. Today, we received reports from the southern parts of the Tehran, both on my right and on my left. If you want to see, there you can just see a small, let's say, smoke is still coming out of the scene after the Israeli attacks on Iranian facilities, Iranian infrastructure, some of them related to the let's say, depot of energy, depot of fuel. It seems that they have decided to go beyond the previous round of strikes. Last time it was in October 2024 when the Israelis decided to strike, and then back in time Iran said that it's going to retaliate. It retaliated in case Israelis decide to continue. Right now we are seeing an unbelievably unprecedented scope of strikes by Israelis against these Iranian territories here in the capital and also across the country. We know that Natanz, which hosts actually the nuclear one of the most important nuclear enrichment sites of the country, has been for several times targeted. Other places in Tabriz, in Hamadan, in Ilam, in Kermanshah, and in Mashhad. and other cities, many of which I don't have sufficient time to name their names, have been targeted. And these are, let's keep in mind, let me put emphasis, this is not just military or nuclear sites under attack. This is civilian and very ordinary citizens experiencing tough attacks by the Israeli sides. From the other side, look at the statements that we hear from the Iranian officials. They're saying that they are going to continue their strikes, their retaliations, if Israelis decide to continue. And now the decision from the Israeli side is crystal clear. They have decided to continue. And now we have to keep waiting for next round of Iranian retaliation, seeing that already we heard these statements from different officials, from the spokesperson of the government, from Iranian president, from different army officials, all saying that they are going to strike back if Israelis decide to continue. And with that, we have to keep in mind the Iranian army officials, the IRGC officials, or other officials related to the armed force of the country. They are saying that the answer next time is going to be more crushing compared to the previous times. It was the army spokesperson last time saying that in case they decide to continue, Iranian response is going to be 20 times stronger compared to the previous times. Getting back to the context in the city, we can say that there is tension. There is tension among citizens, among very ordinary citizens. They are very anxious from the previous weeks. Over the past few weeks, they have been constantly hearing that the Israelis are threatening about the possible attacks, and now they're seeing this shadow of the war getting translated into actual war, with their buildings being targeted by the Israeli strikes, and that's what we have so far.
Okay, Tawhid, I just want our viewers to get a chance to actually take a listen to that moment when Iran's state TV was struck by Israel while on air. Let's just take a listen here.
صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استودیو
Right, well, those were the last, and that was the last live announcement there, clearly while under attack by one of the Iranian state TV presenters. Tawhid, back to you. You were talking about the significance of this strike, and certainly in an area that you said is an area where civilians live.
Well, actually, let me just begin with this last thing that we watched together. We saw people shouting Allahu Akbar, which means God is great. And this is something that we have heard from people across the city after these round of strikes started to ramp up. And also the latest line coming about the attack on the IRIB building so far is that several people have been killed. This is what we have so far. We don't have any specific detail on the number of people killed as a result of this very latest attack on the IRIB, or the state TV's building, the scope of which remains to be seen. We don't have detailed information on that, but still, speaking of the broader context in the city, we were there to see different scenes of strike, different scenes targeted by the Israeli strikes. And it's very important to pay close attention to the fact that, as I told you earlier, and I want to emphasize, this is partly civilian buildings. And we spoke to people. What they were saying is that we've got nothing to do with this issue between Iran and Israel. We are ordinary citizens. And that which adds to their anger is that they are seeing on an hourly basis, I may say, footages and photos and videos coming out from different scenes across the country, showing that hospitals, non-military places are being targeted. One of them I can refer to is the Farabi Hospital in Kermanshah, which was targeted by the Israeli strikes. And then the footages coming out are showing a disastrous situation in which, again, civilians are being targeted. And what we hear from the Iranian side, Iranian president, Iranian spokesperson for the government, both today, they came out to say, first, we are in the middle of an imposed war, and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said that we are not interested in getting engaged in this war. But the reality on the ground is that the country is in the middle of a war, and the prospect down the road seems to be unprecedentedly challenging, unprecedentedly, let's say, controversial, and it paves the way for further escalation, seeing the continuous nature of Israeli strikes. And also, Iranian officials, as I told you earlier, are calling for the solidarity among the people, and also they are trying to make people assured that Iran is not going to stay silent. Iran is going to strike back. And as we speak, I wanted to add this point, as we speak, still we are able to hear sounds of explosion related to the interception by the air defense system here in the capital.